Support comes from the Arizona Inn, a four-diamond, family-owned historic resort hotel and restaurant on Elm Street near the U of A. Information is at arizonainn.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Ninsel, the executive editor of the Tucson Weekly and Tucson Local Media, and we're here to talk Zona politics. Joining me today is Matt Hines, one of the many Democrats who are running for Southern Arizona's 2nd Congressional District. Matt, welcome to Zona Politics.
Hey, great to be here, Jim.
Hey, so you've run this district twice before. What made you decide third time's the charm?
You know, I think it's really important to have someone representing our interests from Southern Arizona, and also someone who understands and can take the values and really the strengths of our community and work on behalf of the community in Washington, D.C. And having been here as a practicing physician for over 15 years, having gone to the U of A, I feel like I know the community really well, and I'd like to, it'd be my tremendous honor to serve the community in that capacity.
And you released a survey a few weeks ago, showed you leading this Democratic race with, I think, 27% of the vote. Ann Kirkpatrick, the former Congresswoman who has moved to Southern Arizona recently, at 23%, 36% undecided. So
that's right.
A lot of possibility for movement out there. But let me ask you straight up, what makes you a better candidate than Ann Kirkpatrick?
Or any others for that reason, for that matter, because there are 5, 6, 7 of us. It's unclear how many will be on the ballot. You know, I think that really, and I was really inspired by the survey and chose to release it because it shows me that Southern Arizonans are very interested in our values and that they're consistent with their own. And whether that's focusing on the economy of those that are forgotten, the economy is doing a lot better, but there's a lot of people that aren't feeling that in their own personal economy with their jobs and their lives. Talking about them, talking about debt, healthcare as a right, and people should not go bankrupt, you know, for trying to see a doctor. There's so many things that I think it's important that that the Southern Arizona voters want us to focus on, and they know me. I was the nominee last time. And I think that while that doesn't give me any right to do it again, I'm hoping that they will consider me and vote for me again because honestly, they know my values are consistent with theirs.
Yeah, you worked for the U.S. Health and Human Services during the rollout of Obamacare.
That's right.
Affordable Care Act, perhaps we should say.
Actually, Obamacare is great.
We saw Republicans fail to repeal it last year.
45 times, 46, I don't know how many times
I wasn't keeping count. They did remove the individual mandate requiring people to buy health insurance.
Sure.
What did you think of that decision?
You know, again, really the wrong direction. And they said this administration and the Congress, the GOP Congress, has really been trying dozens of times to undermine this law, and I think primarily because it holds the name of our former president, and that makes no sense. You know, in medicine, that's just not a neighborly thing to do, to find ways to make sure that, you know, Bill and Phyllis next door don't get to see their doctor. That makes no sense to me. And undermining the Affordable Care Act by denying access to those exchanges. I'm on the exchange. I have Obamacare, thank God. And it helps businesses. It helps innovation. It stifles innovation when you tell someone who has like a corporate job, for example, you can't go start a winery because you might not have health care, right? So we really need to look at what we're doing there. But I don't think this administration really understands the true benefit of the law. And when they tried, when Secretary Tom Price, who is now disgraced and out of the health department, tried to decrease by 50% the enrollment, just a period that people could sign up, to only 6 weeks, we still had over 9 million people sign up, which tells you that the law is actually holding up a lot better under assault. But in the future, with the loss of that individual mandate, that very likely could make those premiums go up for folks, and people are going to not be happy about that, and they're going to look to see who did it, and it's this administration and the GOP Congress, and I think they're going to throw them out.
What about Medicaid for all?
Medicare for all?
Medicare.
Yeah, Medicare for all, I love it. I think that it's going to be hard to get there in one step, and President Obama has said that. Even Gabrielle Giffords, who in some ways favor that, had said, you know, that's not going to be something you can do in one move. But that is the direction we have to go in, and I support it. I think that I approve of what Governor Jan Brewer did when she expanded our Medicaid program for Arizona, which has 300 and actually almost 400,000 folks now in Arizona, lower and middle income, able to get health care and to see a physician. The VA is great for the 3 million veterans that are there, that once they're in it, it's difficult sometimes to get in it, which is a problem we have to fix. And then, of course, Medicare is serving about 57 million beneficiaries right now, and we need to strengthen that as well.
And let me shift gears a little bit. What did you think of the FCC decision to eliminate net neutrality?
Oh, terrible, terrible. I mean, this is a profit-driven decision that the some internet service providers sought so that they, frankly, can limit access to the internet for their advantage, right? And then charge people more to broaden that bandwidth back out to where it may have been before. And it was wrong. And I was really pleased to see that the U.S. Senate, almost entirely Democrats, plus there had to be at least 2 or 3 Republicans. I don't know who all of them were, but I can name them for you. But they actually used the Congressional Review Act to reverse that rule change. Now we'll see if the House of Representatives and if President Trump decide to agree with the move of the Senate. But I was really impressed that they took that step. But it's a First Amendment issue. It absolutely is, and that's the way we should look at it.
I want to talk a little bit about immigration debate. The Trump administration, of course, has laid out this proposal to allow legal status for Dreamers in exchange for more wall building, more security, limits on legal immigration. The legislation stalled out. What did you think of that proposal?
You know, I just think in general we shouldn't negotiate with terrorists, externally or internally, and holding hundreds of thousands of aspiring Americans hostage to the whims of the White House, this administration, or any other political agenda. I almost said kids, these young adults deserve more. And we have tens of thousands of them here in Arizona and in southern Arizona. So no, none of that. Let's just take care of it. Let's have a realistic, compassionate approach. We all know what needs to be done. Let's bring them into the fold, let them come out of the shadows and do what they're going to do. Because frankly, most of these kids and young adults, they may not even speak another language other than English in many cases, right? They know this culture. They are, in almost every way, already Americans, and we just need to acknowledge that and move on.
And you would support a path to citizenship for the
Dreamers?
Yeah.
Immediately, absolutely.
Okay. What did you think of the Trump administration's decision to withdraw from the nuclear agreement with Iran?
Really reckless. And I believe it was 1 week before that, our own State Department said Iran is in compliance. They are allowing the international inspection regime to go forward. There are inspectors on the ground now. So now, of the parties to that treaty or to that agreement, the United States, the EU, China, Russia, of course, Iran, we are the only nation in violation of that agreement. Isn't that amazing? And Iran has now had access. The part of the deal was you shut down your nuclear facilities and your development, let the international community monitor it, and then you can have access to some of your assets that have been frozen elsewhere, like in the U.S. and other places. They now have access to those hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're now allowed to sell some oil. That's not going to change. But now, potentially, because of what we did to violate our end of the bargain, Iran may be able to say, heck with you, we're going to start up our nuclear program again, and we're still going to have access to our money, and we're still going to have the ability to sell oil to some of these countries. So
the deal was somewhat front-loaded.
Yeah.
They got the benefits.
And now we are putting that at risk by not immediately recertifying them and getting back in it.
All right. That's all the time we have for this segment, but I thank you, Dr. Matt Hines, coming in to talk about your congressional campaign.
Hey, thanks. Good to be here.
And we will be right back with Victoria Steele, who is running for the Arizona legislature.
Zona Politics is made possible with the generous support of the Loft Cinema, Tucson's independent movie theater. The Loft features independent, foreign, and documentary films, cult classics, discussions with filmmakers, and much more, including the Loft Film Fest in November. The Loft is located at 3233 East Speedway Boulevard. Showtimes can be found at loftcinema.org. Support for Zona Politics is provided by Hotel Congress in historic downtown Tucson. More information at hotelcongress.com and 622-8848. The Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce serves the business community in the bilingual, bicultural region of the Arizona-Sonora border and is a proud media partner with Zona Politics. Learn more at TucsonHispanicChamber.org.
My next guest is Victoria Steele, who is running for the Arizona Senate in Legislative District 9, which includes the north side of Tucson, the Catalina foothills, and the Casas Adobes area. Victoria, welcome to Zona Politics.
My pleasure, Jim. Thank you.
So, why are you back in the game?
Why am I back in the game? Well, you know I ran for Congress in the 2016 race and didn't make it through the primary. And afterwards, I was planning fully on doing it again. I learned so much. I have no regrets about doing it. And then I had some family issues that I had to really deal with. And my mom and dad are needing me to be here more for them. And there were other things, and so I decided that I would not run for Congress. And then I couldn't stand it. I simply couldn't stand sitting at home and watching things, knowing that I can make a difference, and not doing anything. And as more and more things kept happening, I've got to do something. And then Steve was running for governor, Steve Farley running for governor, and I thought, somebody's going to need to replace him.
And you know the district because you served there in the House.
District. So. I love this district. I love the work, and I know I can do it. And I'm closer from my mom and dad, so this works.
So the end of this year's legislative session really dominated by the Red for Ed movement, the teacher walkouts, a lot of
yes, I wore
energy.
my red just to
You're still Red for Ed.
I'm there. Got my signs in the car.
Lawmakers have promised a 20% raise for teachers by 2020. Do you think teachers can rely on that promise?
No.
Because
of history. I think the way that it is set up, that the current administration or the current legislative body cannot determine what future legislators are going to spend. And so they can find a way to say, we just don't have the money. We know that they've done that. They've done that to the tune of more than $1 billion. Since 2009. They just keep taking money away from public education, and it's horrendous, and they can do that. So will they do that again? Probably, as long as we have the same makeup in the state legislature. I honestly believe the only way we're going to do this is with the initiatives that's going through with Prop 305, is that the number? I always get the numbers mixed up.
The one for the vouchers?
Yes.
The voucher referendum.
Right. Get more money back into school, stop those vouchers, and but also I think it's going to be critical that we take the lead, take the majority in the Senate. I think we can.
And you mentioned the initiative. That's an initiative that teachers are out gathering and their supporters are gathering signatures for to increase the income tax on the top 1% to provide a dedicated funding source for education. And you support that initiative.
I do. I think most of the people that I know who make over $250,000 would be okay with that.
And you, I take it, oppose the voucher plan,
absolutely.
Referendum.
Absolutely.
You would say that law should not be put into place.
Absolutely. What that does is it takes the voucher program, just leaches money away from our public school system, and it puts it into private schools. That's what it does. And that's just ludicrous. We have 95% of the students in Arizona go to public schools. So we're going to deplete the funding from public education so we can give it to that 5%. And I know the idea behind the voucher program is supposedly to expand it, but we have serious problems with our education system, with our public education system. And if 95% of our students are in public schools and they don't have teachers can't afford to stay in the business of teaching in their profession. And the school books are old and falling apart and taped together with duct tape. And you know, I talked to an educator the other day, and he said, we've got school books that say Ronald Reagan is the president.
A little outdated.
That's how old our school books are, some of them. And, you know, the buildings are in deplorable shape. We've got a huge, huge shortage of teachers, particularly when you realize that we've got teachers leaving in droves and we cannot replace them. The U of A can't graduate teachers fast enough, and fewer people are wanting to go into the business or into the profession of teaching because they can't afford it. And one of the most outrageous things that I just learned today when I was preparing for this interview, I just learned that we have 4,300 untrained professionals well, not professionals, untrained people sitting in places of teachers. You don't have to be certified to teach.
And they have a lot of these long-term substitutes that
Yes.
step in. Let me ask you about a bill regarding abortion this session that was
Yes.
passed that would require the doctors who are providing the abortions to quiz the women about why they are seeking an abortion. Your thoughts on that legislation?
You know my thoughts on that legislation.
I don't think you're in favor of it.
I am never in favor of shaming women for making a difficult choice, for taking care of their own health and finances, for their own bodies, for their own lives. Why should we shame them? We don't do that when a man goes in for a procedure, whatever that procedure might be. This is the only area of health, and it's women's health that we attack. And the legislature should stay out of people's bodies. They should stay out of people's bedrooms. They just should.
Every time I drive to Phoenix, you probably have the same experience. You're happy-go-lucky on the 3 lanes, and then you get down to the 2 lanes, and it's much more difficult. Now, obviously, they're doing some of that in the Casa Grande area to widen it, but there's that long stretch on the way back between Gila River and Phoenix where it's 2 lanes.
We need a high-speed train, baby.
High-speed train, I'm on board. I'll buy a ticket. But in terms of roads, do we need to increase the gas tax to pay for infrastructure?
That is one part of what we need to do, yes. When I was in the state legislature, I was I was on the transportation committee, and definitely the gas tax has not been raised forever. It has to go up. It just has to, until we have other options. One of those options, there's so much that we could do to improve the economy in Arizona. And one of them is improving transportation. But one way that we can improve in transportation and improve our environment at the same time is to have a high-speed rail between Tucson and Phoenix, and maybe even Flagstaff. Why not?
Why not?
But we could do that by working with the tribes. Okay, this is going to be a little outside of maybe what we had planned to talk about, but wouldn't it be cool if we worked with the tribes, because it's going to go through the Gila River Reservation.
Right.
And if they had some ownership in that, and that gave them an ability to participate and to grow the economy on the reservation, there's so many possible things that we could do. And it's just a win-win-win if it was public, private, and native funded.
I know I would like to take that train instead of taking that drive as often as I do, but
me
we
too.
are out of time.
Oh, no.
Victoria Steele, thank you for coming in and talking
My
about
pleasure.
your campaign for the state legislature. And we will be right back with Michael Peel, the Southern Arizona Director of Local First Arizona.
All of these young people from the community come together, actually get up and do something
We can do anything!
I think we've attracted like a lot of people that are like super passionate.
We're here at the No Ban, No Wall protest.
If you come out of college, you have this experience, you know how things run, you have a huge leg up.
People who have ideas and who are dreamers, you know what I mean, who really want to get themselves out there, I think that they should come here.
My next guest is Michael Peel, the Southern Arizona Director of Local First Arizona, and my nephew. Michael, welcome to Zona Politics.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, so for viewers who don't know what Local First Arizona is, before we get into the meaty stuff about what's going on with 4th Avenue, what do y'all do?
We are a locally owned independent business coalition, and we are the largest in the nation. So here in Arizona, we have over 3,000 business and nonprofit members, and we have grown immensely in about 15 years that we've been in operation. So it's great to be part of a movement. It's all about local economics. It's about keeping our money in our communities through local banking, local entrepreneurship, buying locally, eating locally, being sustainable with our local sustainability means more than just keeping our money local. It also means sustainability with our environmental work we do. We're a nonprofit as well. So we're not only a business coalition, we're a nonprofit focused on programs such as helping our business members and nonprofit members go green and be sustainable and save money. So
and talk a little bit about the advantages of supporting a local business versus a chain business.
Sure. So we find in our studies that we've researched for some time now, up to 4 times more dollars stay here when we spend local with locally owned independent businesses rather than chains. So that local ownership is critical to our work. That idea of if we keep the money circulating in our economy, that leads to more jobs being created because those local businesses tend to spend more locally with other local businesses. We're about connecting people so that those local businesses can work within that network, and we're a powerful network.
And one of the things you've gotten involved with lately is some of the activity going on North 4th Avenue. Now, obviously, changes are in the works. There's several developments going underway. There's one at the Trinity Church at University in 4th Avenue, and that local developer seems to have worked with the neighbors, and they seem to be very positive about what's going in over there.
Yes.
There's another one at the other end of 4th Avenue near the underpass where Maloney's is now. That one just got a rezoning from the city, and another residential tower involved there. And the neighbors there kind of worked things out with the developer, and then they feel like, I think, some neighbors at least feel like they got a pretty good deal in terms of dealing with the traffic mitigation and whatnot will come along with that.
Right.
And then there's the third development. It's a kind of a Goldilocks situation. One's just not right, kind of.
Well put.
And it's the one on where the Flycatcher Bar now is at 4th and 6th, and there's some concern. This is a group called EDR. They do student housing around the country, and they're coming in here. They already own the district on 6th across the street. Right. So, and this one is generating more concern, and I think one of the reasons for that is people are very fond of 4th Avenue. They like the funky, independent vibe that exists there, and they're worried that there's some possibility that's going away if more developments like this come along.
And we're concerned about that too. That the heart of the issue is that we could be losing our hub of localism. It's right in the middle of 4th Avenue, this development, and 4th Avenue has been the historic avenue for all local, and we want to make sure it stays that way, locally owned, independent, and that funky nature that you just described. That's what we know has been there for so long. As a native Tucsonan, I feel very passionate about it, and that's a big part of the work of Local First Arizona is placemaking. We want to make sure that we are retaining our unique nature of our communities. And if we lose that, we could be losing people wanting to be here in our community, wanting to stay in our community, especially young people. We want them to want to work here and thrive here. And so placemaking is a big part of our work, and we've advocated for that for some time as a statewide organization. So we felt we needed to step into this this arena here and advocate for, at the very least, a community benefits agreement.
And that's, the city council doesn't have much leverage. This
With state
zoning
law.
allows them to build a 6-story building on that corner if they wanted to, and they do have the infill incentive district, and these folks seem to be wanting to apply for some of the benefits of that. But
Right.
a community benefits agreement takes it one more step. So talk a little bit about
Sure.
what that's
So
all
it's a
about.
voluntary agreement recorded against the property, and it is a way to have accountability and transparency with these projects so that the developer, for receiving these economic incentives, can be giving back to the community that they're residing in.
So talk a little bit
yeah.
about what some of these incentives would be,
Sure.
and what you'd want to see to receive them.
Right. So what we're looking for with this community benefits agreement, which other cities have done, other cities have put these together, focused on fair wages, focused on anything from the amount of square footage, maximizing or having a maximum of the square footage per retail space in that retail area for the building, to walkability and having access points to the avenue around the entire complex.
So it's not just a big walled fortress.
Exactly. That was what I was just going to say. So it doesn't feel like a fortress dropped in the middle of the avenue, and we see it as a two-way street here. The development is coming into this community, and it's going to be one that has an opportunity to benefit from having the buy-in of the community around it. The businesses around it can benefit from being still around other local businesses, and we don't need to lose that in the process here. Those local businesses can still stay on the avenue by committing to all locally owned independent businesses. And we're getting specific here too with the community benefits agreement. What we're looking for is maximum 1,000 square feet per business for the retail spaces. So that way it's more affordable for the locally owned independent businesses to move into those spaces, and it could be an example of what other developments can do as well. We think this is a precedent, that we get a community benefits agreement with this project in the heart of our local hub, and that sets the stage for what Tucson's about.
Because
Tucson,
this
yeah.
isn't just Fourth Avenue. These CBAs, these community benefit agreements, could happen all over town.
Exactly. That's what we're aiming for here. And it's an important point to make here, is that this isn't about just Fourth Avenue. It's certainly, it rises in level of, I think, prominence because it is Fourth Avenue. It's historic Fourth Avenue with 74 historic properties. But it could apply to South Tucson. It could apply to really any part of Tucson. And we want to make sure that this doesn't pass us by as an opportunity and a precedent to be set in a very positive way, not a negative precedent.
Right. And so are these agreements between your organization and the businesses? Does the city council get involved with this? How do these kind of unfold?
It's between the affected community group or groups and the developer. So the city wouldn't be involved in that. The agreement itself, it would be between potentially Fourth Avenue Merchants Association or potentially a coalition. We're talking recently now about a coalition forming to make the agreement with the developer. So that could be, say, Fourth Avenue, that has become a major movement in its own right in a very short period of time, with over 2,000 members on its Facebook group wanting to know the latest updates, and a number of our local First Arizona members taking the lead and doing a great job researching what's possible, thinking about sensible options to pursue. They're looking at policy that could be implemented within Arizona law.
Which is also challenging.
Which is also challenging. We could have a whole show on all the challenges that we have to face here. The odds are stacked against us with how much we can do, and the city can do within Arizona law and Prop 207. And so we have to be realistic about what we can do, and that's why we're starting with a community benefits agreement. Certainly other options exist, though. The city could look at packaging incentives that are focused on local development and incentivizing more priority for local benefits, such as the local retail space. Maybe there's a benefit or points that or a condition set for going through a community benefits agreement process, for example. That could be points attributed to the achieving the incentives that the developer wants.
You have your work cut out for you.
We certainly do. But I think there is momentum in a very positive direction, and it seems that the council and mayor are very much wanting to see a community benefits agreement happen with this development.
All
So,
right.
Good news.
We're going to
for
have to
now.
leave it there. Say hi to your mom and dad for me.
Will do.
That is our show for today. I'd like to thank our media partners at Tucson Weekly, Inside Tucson Business, Tucson Local Media, Creative Tucson, and Community Radio KXCI 91.3 FM, where you can hear a radio version at 5 p.m. on Sunday afternoons. I'm Jim Ninsel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Zona Politics is hosted by Tucson Weekly senior writer Jim Ninsel. The program is produced by Jennifer Powers Murphy and Danny Vinnick and edited by Jim Rundle. Special thanks to KXCI, Tucson Weekly, Brink Creative Digital, and all supporters who provide crucial funding for the program. Learn more about Zona Politics at zonapolitics.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter.